marks in the paint. It's had previous paintwork repair. It's got a few orange peel marks in it, a few scuffs. I'm planning to go over it, make it nice and shiny again. So what we're using is some paint renovator. We've got a medium sponge. What we're going to do is smear some onto the sponge, just so you don't go in dry. Of course, make sure your sponge is clean. Get it nicely soaked up in there. Sometimes, depending on what you're doing, what kind of sponge you're using, they recommend to wet the sponge ever so slightly. But in this case, we'll be just fine without doing that. Alright, I'm over here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this very clearly, but there is some light scuffs, some orange peel where it's had the previous spray. Hopefully that will all be gone. Obviously, prior to doing this, you need to make sure any waxes or anything's removed, all the dirt is gone. Use something strong to remove the wax. You can either use hot soapy water or any other kind of chemical that isn't going to ruin your paint. And basically, you just do even strokes across the paint, spread it out so you don't go on dry. Right, so we used paint renovator, got most of it down. Unfortunately some marks are not coming out. Some areas where it's been resprayed rather rough, had to use a bit of T-cut, but recommend a bit of wet and dry paper. So now it's moving on to some of the polish. Use any polish really, whatever you prefer. Same as before, make sure the paint's pure. Give the bottle a shake. And get it all soaked in. And for this one we're also using a slightly softer sponge. Same process as before, left and right, smear around. Nearly.
it's cool.
Running out.
I'm sure the sun's going to be on the clouds.
We'll be back out in a minute.
You're a bit nippy now. I think it's because you get so hot in the sun and then it gets cold.
Feeling cold.
Yeah. Only when the sun goes in.
For this step, it's the last step, using car polish again, but it's the one with the wax. It's a lot runnier, so don't need to put too much on your sponge because it will just spray everywhere. Basically, put a small amount on, smear it around, which I've already applied it. Smear it around most of the area because it's the wax that you're mainly dealing with. Like so. Give it a light buff, you don't need to do too much because you've already used your compounds and your polishes. As you can see, you need to work kind of quick because it goes cloudy, and that is when the wax is doing its job. So just leave it to go cloudier a little bit more, and then when you think it's ready, give it a finger mark. If you get a bit of texture on your hands or a bit of cloudiness, it crumbles up on the paint, is when it's ready to rub off, but you have to do it by cloth. And that's where you get your finish. So that, where it starts to flake on the paint, you can see that in there, that's when it's done. All you do is just buff it off nice little circles and it comes off. Rotate your cloth around a few times. And basically all this process is just to protect the paint after what you've done. It seals it off, protects it from any debris off the road, any bugs, and also beads the rain off nicely as well. As you can see, it's come up shiny there, and that you have to do for the whole van or any vehicle you're doing. As you can see over here, I've just done this side, and that's a better example. It goes flaky, and that's when you want to rub it all off. As you can see, it's nice and shiny. It comes off fairly easy. Obviously I'm using the liquid, it's very runny, it's very messy, it can be, but when you wash the van or the vehicle you're using, you can either use the stuff again and apply it with a cloth, rub it on, let it dry up, buff it off, or get a tin, and they are normally better. They last a lot longer, you get a better bead when it rains, protects the paint even better, but the process is a lot harder. They dry up and it's harder to rub off because you don't use a machine for that stuff.